Peyton Manning has had a roast. I'm aware of that. But if you didn't watch the Tom Brady roast, it was a little something different. It was Nikki Glazer. It was a lot of the people that Jeffrey Ross that don't pull punches when they do roast. This was a totally different level. For instance, I thought the most brutal one was Nikki Glazer said, "You retired and then you came back to the NFL. You retired and then you came back to the NFL. I guess the only thing that you go back to is your pregnant girlfriend." That's pretty brutal. Could you ever imagine Peyton Manning doing anything like that where all gloves are off? Or is he too image conscious? And is that maybe a good thing? Because I don't know how Tom Brady helped himself at all with this roast. And does he need the money? Did he make $25 million? He also said, as for Deflategate, you spent $20 million, NFL, in investigating what happened. For $20 million, I'd tell you I did it. I don't know if he admitted it or he just would say anything for $20 million. This was stupid by Tom Brady. I give a salute as much as I would want to watch it to Peyton Manning for not doing a full-on roast. I don't think anybody's ever going to do this as far as former athletes. Most of these guys care about their image, Caleb.
Well, I give Tom Brady a lot of credit because it shows me that Tom Brady was willing to be knocked down a peg. My thing with athletes, and we cover them, it's the same way I feel about actors and celebrities and Hollywood stars and singers, is the way they hate being taken down a peg. And that's why when they are taken down just a little bit, you see Will Smith go on stage and slap Chris Rock around across the face. Okay, because and you see the Hollywood contingency think that's okay. Because how dare you take anybody that's on a certain pedestal down? So Tom Brady's willingness to bring him down a little bit, I'm actually okay with. Peyton Manning, look, Peyton Manning is a little bit different from Tom Brady in the sense of from the second he stepped on campus at Tennessee, he had the Manning name following him. Now, I know Archie Manning did not have a Hall of Fame NFL career, but you're still a coach's son. So you're still thinking a lot more carefully about your image than Tom Brady would be thinking about.
Well, and something you may not know either, Arch was the color commentator for the Saints. So I said something yesterday I thought about may have been misleading to you. He still had a prominent football name. It just wasn't the Manning name as we know in 2024.
Right. And so I think the level of pressure that Peyton felt for himself resulted in him wanting to craft an image. Also because he was so determined to build a legacy outside of his father, which you see that a lot with people. You know, Eli Manning didn't care following his father's legacy, but Peyton Manning wanted really to create his own legacy / empire. And he's done a lot of things that I think that to somewhat protect that. And he's always thought about that. And it's very similar to Michael Jordan in the NBA. And it's kind of annoying that they both do it. They're so set on their image and how people portray them, which is why The Last Dance was so amazing. Was Michael Jordan, we had all heard the rumors, but he just kind of was like, I want to show you for once just this real side of me and who I really was as a player and just how ruthless I could be, whether or not you like me or not. But this is the results we got. I think I can see Peyton Manning doing something like that one day.
Now that was surprisingly open, but he still had final say. So we all know that Peyton's final say is not going to go as far as the Tom Brady free-for-all that happened. I mean, that's alert to me. I'm wondering, guys with on their record, Tiger Woods, would he do something like this? Brought to you by the Hemp House, the premier hemp dispensary online with a wide variety, great selection, and strict standards to ensure you only receive the best in CBD or Delta products. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Hemp House Chat with 2Ts.com. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off online. The promo code HOOKED for 10% online. Caleb, which former Vol would you be afraid to roast?
I wouldn't be afraid to roast any of them. I wouldn't be afraid to roast any of them. But I will tell you this. It's funny you say that. There was a roast one time, and this is how you saw the community was so different back then. They wouldn't be this way now. There was a roast of Philip Fulmer that was hosted. It must have been 2018, I believe, or 2017. Heath Schuler and Peyton Manning all took part in it, and a few others. It became nothing but just a respect roast. It was like kind of really light roast, like, oh, Philip Fulmer had this habit before games or this, but it was like no one was going to make a joke on how he couldn't beat Steve Spurrier. But I'm like, okay, how are you not going to like? It's like if you're not going to roast, if you're not going to go there, then don't do a roast. You know what I mean? But nobody in the Knoxville community was going to dare roast Philip Fulmer the way they should have. And that,
No, and when you and I talk of roast, we're not talking about the playful, fun roast. We're talking about real. You get up there and you get to say anything you want. I will be honest with you. I'm not afraid to say much of anything in front of anybody. I would not want to be in an Al Wilson roast because from everybody I talk to, he does not take those sorts of jokes well. He doesn't think they're funny at all. Al Wilson has a lot of great attributes, but I don't think a great sense of humor is one of them.
so
I'm not saying I would be scared. I would be nervous. Let me ask you this: Which
so
one
Al
would you
Wilson
be nervous if after the show they're going to go, Caleb CC, or as I like to call you because I love your show. That was a little over the top, son. We need to talk. Are there any of those that you would be concerned about?
Nope. If you want the roast, I'm going there. Now, here's what. And Al Wilson, what you're telling me is Al Wilson would be the type to never want to roast of himself, which is fine.
Right. Perfectly fine.
Now,
I don't want people to roast me. Good Lord. That sounds like the worst thing that could ever happen.
Now, as far as Manning goes, we have to go here because Tiger Woods could be roasted now. He would not want to be roasted before the 2009 scandal broke, but because he did have that clean cut image he was trying to protect, but he doesn't have it now. But
he wouldn't have been roasted then either. He's been careful with that image forever. So is Peyton.
Well, that's what I mean. Well, no, I'm saying Tiger Woods himself, but like now, what happened since the Tiger Woods, all those girls he was with, I think he's lost a little bit of care about his image as much. He shouldn't care as much about it. Where I was actually going to go was with Manning was, look, there's a very sensitive, you don't want to say legal, but harassment scandal that he was implicated in when he was in college that we know about, that you know about, that has been overdone. I don't think Peyton Manning wants to be in a roast knowing that that's going to be brought up, honestly. And I think that's why he would never.
I mean, nobody should want to be in this roast. Which former ball would you fear roasting is our poll question on YouTube. Al Wilson, Albert Hainsworth, John Henderson, who's the nicest guy in the world. I put him in there because he was just in town recently, or Peyton Manning. Now, Peyton Manning's not going to come beat you up after the roast, but he could make a couple of phone calls to affect your career. Not that Peyton Manning would ever do that, Caleb.
Peyton Manning would buy every house in your neighborhood and purposely devalue it so he could devalue your home. That's what he would do. That's a type of like revenge.
And I mean, that is a compliment, don't you? I mean, he'd go around and put bars on all the houses so that people believe there was a huge crime problem in your neighborhood. If he didn't like it. Listen, he's never damned since Dan Patrick said something that made him mad. And I don't even know what that thing is. Once he picks that you're not a guy for him, or you're not a gal for him to work with, he's not going to want to work with you.
Well, he did work with Mike Vanderjagt for 3 years after Mike Vanderjagt said that he was, didn't have any passion. But Peyton Manning got his revenge by saying our liquored up kicker. This is a thing. I've heard this from a lot of people and a lot of his close friends that, like, if Peyton Manning has issues with you, he's going to make sure he gets the last word no matter what. And I mean, that's why, again, I think the trainer thing was overblown. But why did Peyton Manning put it in his book and willingly reopen the lawsuit? He just wanted to have the last word, didn't he?
Well, let me ask you this too. Was that is it a character flaw to want to be conscious of your image? I think you can go too far, certainly, but for the most part, I think that's a character strength, don't you? I mean, I don't think you should. I don't think you should want to. I don't think you should do it because you care what other people think about you, like your peers at work. I don't think I should care about my image because of what, let's say, Caleb Calhoun thinks about me or Stacey Oliver, who's one of our writers. I think you care about your image, not overly concerned, but just because you want to be respected as somebody who's a good person. Peyton Manning, I think, does take it a little too far, and he's a little too sensitive. He almost turned down. Remember when he was throwing the soft footballs at the kids in Saturday Night Live? He almost turned that down because he thought that would hurt his image. It ended up being monstrously great for his image.
Yeah, I think if you try to protect your image too much, what ends up happening is other people will tear you down, and then you fall harder because you were so trying to paint yourself as a godlike figure. And I just think that's a
Well,
mistake.
and along those lines, don't think that people weren't waiting for Tiger Woods to stumble. That's an absolute fact.
Yes.
Now, I don't think people are waiting for Peyton Manning to stumble, and I don't think he has anything like the Tiger Woods thing. But there were a lot of writers sitting there waiting for Tiger Woods to stumble. All right. Who else would you like to roast? Let me ask you that. A former Vol.
Well, I would like to actually have gone to the Fulmer roast because I would have nuked him. But that's I would love to roast Fulmer. I would love to I thought about maybe Candace Parker, but I have too much. I can't think of too many negative things I'd say in a joking fashion to Candace Parker. Because like, what are you going to criticize her for?
I think mine would be just because I'm friends with him, Fred White. And I know more about Fred from a personal perspective than I do other guys. But Albert Haynesworth would be great. But I'm telling you, there is a chance that Albert Haynesworth would get up off of his chair and attack you on the dais, on the podium. I'm telling you, you think I'm kidding, but there is a chance that that would happen. Which would be bad
Albert
for all
Haynesworth,
of us, would it not?
I hear that Albert Haynesworth is extremely nice and then just kind of goes into a mode where he goes crazy and doesn't have great control over when to turn it on or off. Which it's kind of, yeah. So I think, John, you're right. And it sounds like, according to what you're saying, Al Wilson always has it on. He never has it off. Even in just his regular life, it's always on. John Henderson seems to have the perfect balance of when to turn it on, his mean streak, and when to turn it off. I would have loved to roast Reggie White before he passed away. Rest in peace. I think there could have been a lot of jokes I could have made at Reggie about how ineffective he was as a player his first 3 years, how much of a mercenary he was in the NFL after leaving Philly.
Let me go to the message board. Who would you most want to roast? Somebody said Inky Johnson. You don't want to do Inky Johnson. Butch Jones would have to be number one. It would be too easy.
That's not even a fun roast.
I know. I could write 15 jokes before the end of the show while speaking to Caleb the entire time. That's just too easy.